So today we're going to do a Unit 1 review. For each question, we're going to fill in the blanks. So 3 or more points that lie on the same line are called collinear. Blank is the length or measurement of a geometric figure, that is the distance. Two lines are blank if they cross at one point. Those would be intersecting. If the sum of the measures of two angles is 90 degrees, then the two angles are blank. So keywords here, sum. So we're going to add two angles together. When we add those two angles together and we get 90 degrees, those are called complementary. The blank of a line creates two equal line segments. So here keyword is equal. We're creating two equal line segments. Then we would be talking about the midpoint. So that's it for our vocabulary. So there are 5 of them there. They are worth 1 point apiece on your test. For the next slide, we're going to draw and label a figure for the following relationship. And the relationship we were given is we're going to draw lines P, Q, and R that intersect at D. So first thing, we're going to start off by drawing 3 lines. Remember, lines have arrows on both ends. So I'm going through and I'm making arrows on all the ends. So I have 3 lines here. I'm going to label these P, Q, and R. And the last thing I need to do is label the intersection. They were supposed to intersect at point D, so I'm going to label this center right here, point D. So make sure on your test this is worth 3 points. You get 1 point for drawing the correct figure, 1 point for labeling the lines, and 1 point for the point in the middle. The next question, we're told that B, so point B is between point A and point C, and we're told that AB equals 4x minus 5, BC equals x plus 1, and the entire length of AC is 26. We're asked to solve for x and then find the length of AB. So a hint diagram might be helpful. I'm going to draw this diagram here. I'm going to say that. Oops. So here I've drawn us a diagram. B doesn't necessarily have to be in the middle. It kind of looks like I put it in the middle today, but it doesn't have to be. We weren't told that it was the midpoint, so it's just got to be somewhere in the middle between A and C. Then we do know that AB is equal to 4x minus 5. So I'm going between A and B, and I'm going to label that as 4x minus 5. Then I'm going to go between B and C, and I'm going to label it x plus 1. We were also told that this entire distance from A to C is 26. So here I know that my line segment addition, if I have 2 segments that make up a line, I can add those 2 together, and that'll equal the entire line. So the length from A to B, the 4x minus 5, plus the length from B to C, x plus 1, has to equal the entire length of the line segment, which is 26. So now I just have an algebra problem to solve. I'm going to start off by combining like terms. I have 4x plus x, which is 5x, negative 5 plus 1, which is negative 4, and that's still going to equal 26. Then I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So 5x equals 30. Then I'm going to divide by 5. Remember, beside it, divide it. So x equals 6. Remember, my instructions asked me to find x and to find the length of AB. So now that I have x, I'm going to go back up to AB, and I'm going to plug that 6 into the 4x minus 5. So AB equals 4x minus 5. But now we know that x is 6, so I'm going to replace that x with 6, just substitute it in there. And then 4 times 6 is 24, minus 5 gives us 19. So AB equals 19 is the other part of our answer. All right, moving to the next question. It says, find the measure of angle IEF if the measure of DEI equals 7x plus 4, and there is a typo here, and the measure, insert in here IEF equals 52x minus 1. So first thing I'm going to do is transfer these two to my diagram. So DEI is 7x plus 4. That's this angle in here. And then IEF is this angle right here. And that is equal to 52x minus 1. Now, some people might ask, or being asked to find the measure of IEF, and we were already told that IEF equals 52x minus 1. The question really wants to know how many degrees is angle IEF. So to do that, we're going to use the fact that when we add these two angles together, they form this straight line here. So we have a straight angle when we add them together, which means they are supplementary angles. So if I take these two angles, 7x plus 4, and I add the other angle, 52x minus 1, they've got to add together to give me 180 degrees. Again, I know that because they form a straight line, which we call a straight angle, and are therefore supplementary. So now I'm going to go through combined like terms. 59x plus 3 equals 180. Subtract 3 from both sides. That gives me 59x equals 177. Beside it, divide both sides by 59 to get an answer of x equals 3. Now that actually does not answer the question, but it helps us to get there. So we know that x equals 3, so we're going back up here, and we're going to plug a 3 in, and we're going to substitute it in to find the measure of angle IEF equals 52 times 3 minus 1. Well, 52 times 3 is 156. 156 minus 1 gives us our final answer of 155 degrees. And if I'm working too fast, feel free to pause the video at any time. The next question you see here deals with finding the perimeter of a triangle, and then we're given 3 ordered pairs or 3 points. We're told to round our answers to the nearest tenth, and then we were given a hint that we have to find distances. So we're finding the distance between all 3 points. So we're going to find the distance from A to B, from B to C, and then we also have to find the distance from A to C. So we're really just finding the length of all the sides of the triangle, and then we're going to add those lengths together to get the perimeter of the triangle. So this is definitely the longest problem on the review, but we're just going to take it one part at a time. So we're going to find the distance from A to B. So I'm going to go to A and B, and I'm going to label my points x1, y1, x2, y2. And then I'm going to go up here, just quick review my distance formula. So right up there's my distance formula. One of those things I would write on my reference sheet if you don't have memorized. So when I go to find the distance from A to B, I'm going to start off with y2. Well, y2 is -2, so underneath my square root, I'm going to start with -2 minus y1, which is 4. That quantity gets squared. Then my plus sign, and I'm going to repeat the same process with my x's. So I'm going to take 1 minus -5. Anytime you have a double negative, we just change it to a positive. So subtracting a negative number is adding. So we just go ahead and change that to a positive. For our next step, we're going to take our parentheses and we're going to simplify what's inside of them. So for this first one, I'm going to take -2 minus 4 to get -6. And 1 plus 5 to get +6. When you square these, so we're going to take each of these and we're going to square them. Notice that for this first one, the negative is inside the parentheses. So if I was to use a calculator, I will put parenthesis, -6, close your parenthesis, and then hit the square button. That just means -6 times -6, which is +36. And then for the second one, 6 squared, well, 6 times 6 is again 36. Simplify one step further. 36 plus 36 is 72. And then in my calculator, I'm going to type the square root of 72, and that gives me approximately 8.5 when you round to the nearest tenths place. So I'm going to keep this for later. Again, like I said earlier, to find the perimeter, we're going to have to add up all these lengths. So we found the first one. Then we're going to go back and we're going to pick different points. So I'm just going to stick with A, and I'm going to label C, x2, y2 this time. So we're still going to keep point A as x1, y1, but now we're going to use x2, y2 for point C. So now I'm just going to label that I'm using AC. So to find the distance, we're again plugging into that same exact formula. So y2 minus y1 would be 6 minus 4. x2 minus x1 would be 3 minus -5. So again, we've got that double negative we're changing to a positive, and then we're going to simplify underneath our square roots. So 6 minus 4 is 2, so 2 squared plus, and then 3 plus 5 now. 3 plus 5 gives us 8, so we're going to have 8 squared. So now underneath my square root, I'm going to square. 2 squared is 4. 8 squared is 64, and then I'm going to combine those two to get 68. And then again, in my calculator, I'm going to compute the square root of 68, which is 8.2 approximately, again, when you round. And again, I'm going to keep that number for when I find the perimeter. Now for the last one, I'm going to relabel I'm struggling. I'm going to label B as x1, y1, and I'm going to leave C as x2, y2. So now I'm finding the distance from B to C. So my first set of parentheses, I'm going to have 6 minus -2. And my second set of parentheses, I'm going to have 3 minus 1. Again, make sure anytime you have a double negative or two negatives right after each other, you change it to a positive. So 6 plus 2 is 8, 3 minus 1 is 2. And then we're going to square both of those. 8 squared is 64, 2 squared is 4. So now I have 64 plus 4, which is 68. Again, I'm going to take the square root of 68 and compute that in my calculator. And I end up with 8.2 approximately when I round it. So to find the perimeter, all you have to do is add these three values together. So your perimeter is equal to 8.5 plus 8.2 plus 8.2. So your final answer, you should end up with 24.9. And that right there is your final answer. Keep in mind you get points along the way for finding the correct distances. So you get points for finding the distance from A to B, you get other points for finding the distance from A to C, and points for finding B to C. So it's not just the final answer that's important. I will look at all of the parts. For the next question, we are given a figure and we're told that QS bisects angle RQP. So that would be the ray in the middle is bisecting the larger angle. So automatically, I know that this angle here is congruent to this angle here. And then we're told that RQS is 2x plus 10. And angle SQP is equal to 3x minus 18. So really they're just giving us an equation. Since we know these two angles have to be congruent or equal to each other, we're going to take 2x plus 10 equals 3x minus 18, and we're going to solve for x. So a basic algebra problem for us to compute here. Start off by subtracting 2x from both sides, so 10 equals x minus 18. You would then add, 18 to both sides to end up with x equals 28. So that's part of our answer because we were asked to find x, but we were also asked to find the measure of angle SQR. So looking for SQR, if I follow from S to Q to R, that's actually referring to this angle here. So we're going to find that by plugging into 2x plus 10. So the measure of angle SQR equals 2x plus 10, but we just found out that x was equal to 28. So we're going to take 28 times 2 and then add 10. Should give you a final answer of 66 degrees. The next question involves finding the midpoint of segment AB, and then they tell you coordinates for both A and B. So remember our midpoint formula, we're going to take and add our x's together, so x1 plus x2 divided by 2 for our first coordinate. Our second coordinate, we're going to take y1 plus y2 and divide by 2 to find our second coordinate. So I'm going to label A x1, y1. I'm going to label B x2, y2. Then I'm just following this formula here. So I need x1 plus x2. So 3 plus -4 divided by 2. The 2's in the formula, so it just stays right there for now. For my y's, I'm going to take -6 plus 5, again divided by 2. So 3 plus -4, I'm going to simplify the first fraction. 3 plus -4 is -1, still divided by 2. For our second fraction, -6 plus 5 is -1, still divided by 2. You can either leave this as your final answer, or if you prefer to convert it to a decimal, that is -0.5, -0.5. And again, for me, either answer works. You can leave it as -1/2, or you can convert it to the decimal. And one last thing, you may create a one-page cheat sheet to use on your test. Your cheat sheet must be handwritten, and you can't photocopy somebody else's. So you've got to make it on your own. And then I suggest that you print another copy of this and you try to take the pretest again without any assistance to see how you can do. Good luck.